You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 191. Welcome to the My Simplified Life podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action today. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and I'm excited to share my stories and life lessons with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac. I came across a post the other day, actually a couple of them, and it was for the South by Southwest panel pickers. If you're not familiar with this, South by Southwest is this big thing in Austin, Texas, and you can propose a panel, a session, and then people can go and vote on what they want to hear, to see. And so I was seeing all kinds of posts of, vote for me, vote for this, and then I decided I want to look for panels that have something to do with podcasts. And I came across one that is being proposed by the Just Trust, which is based here in the Bay Area. And it was about how podcast interviews can change criminal reform and how podcast interviews are really the vehicle to promoting more change in the criminal justice system. And I couldn't have been more excited about this because, as you know, I wholeheartedly agree that podcast interviews have the power to do just that and so much more. And it got me thinking more and more about how podcast interviews are something that I promote to help the criminal justice reform system, to help not only people do great things, but also promote their businesses, their services, their books, their products, all of those things. In my upcoming book, How to Get on Podcasts, I don't just approach businesses. I also look at activism and being an advocate for nonprofits and how I feel that nonprofits and people running for office should all be using podcast interviews. Why? Well, because I believe that podcast interviews are the perfect vehicle for sharing your story. And the why behind what you do. Why do you do it? You can go to someone's website, any brand, any company, and there's going to be the About Us page and who we are. And this is, our 500, probably less word story of why we do what we do. But it really doesn't share the why. Why is it that your team members are so highly invested in the company that they work for, the nonprofit that they're representing, the government issues that they feel are pressing? Why? And a podcast interview allows them to share that story. What is it that they've been personally affected by that makes them want to fight for whatever it is that they're fighting for? And this goes for the criminal justice system. This goes for the nonprofits to change the way our environment is, to have gun safety, to change legislation, to do so many other things. And I feel it's so much more powerful to hear it in the words of the people that are working every single day and dedicating their lives to these nonprofits, to making these changes. And that's what a podcast interview is going to do. One of my clients, Sean Wilson, who is with dream.org, was featured on the Wild Black podcast this past week. And I listened to various clips that he shared. And Sean had spent 17 years, give or take, in prison as a child, basically. He was 17 when he went in. And one of the clips that I listened to that brought tears to my eyes was Sean shared a story about how his wife asked him, "Why is it that you say hello and acknowledge every single person we see on the street? You wave at them, you smile at them, you make eye contact. Why do you do that?" And he said, because for so long, he was inside these four walls and nobody recognized them, himself, as a human being, as someone. And he feels this is his way to allow others to know that he sees them. So no matter what is going on for that other person, Sean sees them. He sees them on the street. He acknowledges them with a smile, with a wave, with a nod. And it's that little act of kindness, which turns out to be so big. And this is part of the reason of why Sean does what he does. And to me, this was hugely impactful to listen to him say this. And I've heard Sean's story many times. I've talked to him many times, and I'm always inspired by what he has to say. But hearing him say this, there was something about it that made me want to make sure that I recognize every single person I see on the street, because we don't know what's going on in their day, what could have happened yesterday, what they might be grappling with internally. And yet a smile could be the one thing that changes everything for them. And Sean's sharing this part of his story is something that we wouldn't otherwise hear unless we knew him, unless we were his wife who asked him that same question. We wouldn't know the answer as to why he acknowledges everybody. Why is it that he is fighting for change in the prison system? Because he didn't feel that he was recognized for so long. And so he's not only fighting for that change and working with dream.org, but he's also trying to be that change on the street every single day. When you see him in the airport, and he travels a lot, when you see him on Capitol Hill fighting for change, this is what you're going to see. And these are the stories that are going to change the way people think. When you hear him on a podcast, you're going to understand why change is needed. Reform is needed. And I think that with so many of us, we haven't experienced the stories of others. And we might have an inkling. We might know a little bit about what we think is going on, but it's not until we hear firsthand about these experiences, about the effects later on, that we fully understand what more can we do, what change needs to be made. And this is what brings you to want to get more involved in an organization, in an issue. This is what goes into making a listener want to buy your product or your service or your book, because now they're getting the chance to listen firsthand as to why you do what you do. And I think it's so important for us to hear that why. I know that when I started more onto the online world and businesses, and there's all of the MLM network marketing things, they all talk about know your why. And the why is always in quotations. What's your why? Is it your family? Do you want to stay at home with your kids? This is your why. And yet it's so much deeper than that. Someone's why they do what they do is much deeper than I wanted to find the freedom, the hours, and make an income. It's beyond that. I do what I do because I truly want to change the world. I want people to hear these stories of others that resonate, that inspire, that educate, that do something that's impactful. It's going to make the world a better place for my children, and that is why I do what I do. Yes, I do what I do because I love the freedom and flexibility of my hours, and I love that I have an income, but that's not ultimately why I do it. That's why I work, period. Whether it's in a corporate job or work for myself, the why behind that is very similar no matter who we are. But it's this really detailed why. Why do we focus on the issue at hand, no matter what it is? Why is it that a certain product has been made? There was a prospective client that reached out to me not too long ago who has a product that is mainly for men, but it works for women too. And the whole reason behind why this product came to market was because it was something the founder had struggled with all of his life. And in order to figure out how to fix it, he created something and is now selling it. And when you look at the whole story of why he would be so passionate about a product, it's not simply the product and about making money. It's about helping other people. And being able to listen to those words for yourself is what really makes you attracted to a certain product, a service, to want to buy a book, to listen to the author and everything that they've been through, and to know that part of their story is interwoven into their novels. That's the incredible impact that a podcast interview has, because we now get to listen to all of these people share their actual stories, and they're all candid conversations. most of them aren't scripted. We don't have questions that come out. We just sit down like we're having a cup of coffee and we're getting to know each other. And it's so rare that we get to have those kinds of conversations with strangers on the street. Yet we're given this unique opportunity to listen to these conversations on a podcast interview. So whether you're a business, an author, an advocate, an activist, a politician, it truly does not matter who you are. If you are advocating for something, and each one of us truly is advocating for something, even if we are selling something, we are advocating for the business behind whatever it is that we work for, the business that we've built. And there's a story as to why we're doing that. Why are we advocating so hard to sell this product, this service, this book, to change this issue, to bring attention to it? There's a reason behind it. And doing a podcast interview is going to allow us to highlight what that reason is. Sharing your story in your own words in a way that's no pressure. Absolutely no pressure to sell, but simply share of yourself, of the reason why you're doing what you're doing is not only going to be the most impactful thing you can do, but it's also going to be the thing that attracts people to you. It's inspiring to hear someone share why they do what they do, what brought them to this moment and to this individual thing that they want to promote. What is it about that? And that is truly what's going to not just attract people to you, but to want to learn more, to potentially even buy whatever it is you are actually selling. But this is also why you don't need to go into a podcast interview with the intention of selling a thing. You simply need to share your story. And sharing your story, your why, the true why behind what you do, why you do what you do, the tongue twister behind that, that's what people want to hear and what is going to resonate with so many as they listen to just the pure joy, what lights you up, because it will come through when you talk about what's most important to you. So I want you to take this with you today as you consider podcast interviews as a part of your marketing tools, your PR tools. Don't go into it with the intent to sell, but with the intent to share of yourself openly, honestly, and to really dig down into the why behind what you do. Your story is going to resonate with people. The fact that you have a reason of why you do what you do is what is going to make others want to listen to you. It's going to make them want to follow you, to learn more. So in everything that you do, whether it's social media, podcast interviews, sharing your story into any kind of media platform, remember to go into it with the reason behind why. Think about your why and share that because people want to hear it. They want to be inspired, and you have that power to inspire.